I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. What do you think that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the continued coverage of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series Season 8 as we get ourselves geared up for playoff race number 2. Off the heels last week of our playoff opener at Gateway, some drivers did really well, other drivers struggled, and subsequently the point standings are quite spread out coming into this one with different drivers having different agendas. It's our final road course stop of the season. We cap off our doubleheader here this weekend from Road America. Second time that the Cup Series drivers have ever been to this venue. I had to go back and look to see if indeed Road America had ever been run before, and the second playoff race ever since the inception of the Cup Series has always been at a road course. From seasons 1 through 4, we ran at the Charlotte Roval. Season 5 was when we tested the waters here at Road America, and then seasons 6 and 7, we've been at the dirt-covered road course of Chatham. So we're back here to Road America for the first time since season 5. Only one driver has formally taken a checkered flag, obviously, at this venue, that being Cody Lamas. So we'll have to see if Cody can double down or if a new driver will add their name to the list of those that have been able to win at this racetrack. Dylan Young going to line up on the pole position, his first pole of the season, and he'll be alongside of Caleb Fogler. A couple of blue ovals going to share the front row, and a couple of drivers that are still looking for their first wins on the season. Both drivers as well just looking to try and in some way make some good of what has been a struggling season so far. For Dylan Young, in the first 27 races so far this season, 33rd in points. He's one of 3 drivers that is still yet at this point in time to score a top 5 finish. And for Caleb Fogler, he's 27th in the point stands. His stats look a lot better. He's got 4 top 5s and 8 top 10s, but average finishing position of 22nd. So the former champion has not exactly had an ideal year, and obviously with where they're positioned in the point standings, we obviously know that they are not battling for the championship here this season. Another thing that we know as well is that our 16 playoff contenders, nobody is yet locked into the next round of the playoffs. We saw yesterday on the Light Series side in their first playoff race of the season, Colin Grace on a tremendous fuel strategy play, able to take the checkered flag, and he is moving on to the round of 7. Right now, we have no confirmed drivers moving on to the round of 12 here on the Cup side. That could change here today if one of our playoff contenders go to victory lane. They would be going into next week's race at Nashville Superspeedway worry-free, knowing they are locked into the next round. But I guarantee you there's another 26 drivers that, much like Eric Monaco was able to do last week, would love to be able to go to victory lane and deny the 16 playoff contenders that golden ticket into the next round. Speaking of Eric Monaco, becomes the 3rd full-time rookie to go to victory lane. Of course, the defending Light Series champion, and made history becoming the first driver to net a Lights and a Cup Series win in their career. Monaco starts with a very good positioning here today in 6th. He would love to double down and go back-to-back here in the first 2 races of the playoffs. Let's go down trackside. Let's get those famous words in motorsports. Get ready to go racing here today. 25 laps await these drivers around Road America as we find out who's going to be able to take the final road course victory of the season.
Drivers, start them engines!
Right side of your screen, you'll see your 42 car starting lineup. Your playoff contenders highlighted in yellow. You'll see quite a number of them up inside of the top 10. On the flip side, you'll see quite a number of them down outside of the top 30. And one thing that we kind of did learn from the Light Series race here yesterday is track position is not necessarily 100% necessary, but it definitely helps. And so we'll look to see if some of our playoff contenders that are starting up here at the front will finish at the front. We'll be giving you an idea of your point standings coming into this one. If you tuned into yesterday's pole day qualifying session, we went pretty deep into discussing that. As up the hill towards the start-finish line they come. Dylan Young, his first pole of the season, hoping it'll translate to his first win of the season. And playoff race number 2 from Road America is green. Dylan Young leads him into the heavy braking zone of turn 1. Clears Caleb Fogler for the top position. Jack Mitchell looks to slot into 3rd place. Battle is going to now be for 4th. That's Connor Breton alongside of last week's winner, Eric Monaco. Fogler with a look here into the Moraine sweep, the left-hand turn 5. Not able to get enough of a run to get to that quarter panel, tucks back in line. Breton has been able to clear Monaco for 4th. I believe that Monaco's teammate Jesse Turner just completed the pass up the hill there to turn 6 to move into the 5th spot, moving Monaco back to 6th position. Behind them, a couple of playoff contenders duking it out for 7th. Actually, you got a quartet of playoff contenders right there. Gunther in the 55, Fogelman in the 5, Bishop in the 98, and Rowe in the 46. 4 drivers, all in entirely different positioning in the standings coming into this one. Nick Gunther, RJ Bishop, they are 15th and 16th in the standings coming into this race. The lowest 2 positioning of the 16 playoff drivers. Fogelman moved up to 2nd in points after a great run last week at Gateway, only 5 points out of the overall points lead. And Alexander Rowe is down around that bubble spot. He's 10th in the standings, currently finding himself 5 points to the good above that 12th in the standings cut line, which right now, coming into this race, was being held by former winner on the season, rookie Summer Henson. And if I'm not mistaken, Summer Henson was the next to last lowest driver that rolled off the grid here this afternoon from 37th. Eric Sadler was the furthest back of the playoff drivers in the final row, starting 41st. If you didn't tune in yesterday to our Light Series race, Pit Road is going to play a pivotal part in this event, especially in terms of track position. We know that on average, these drivers can get anywhere from 7 to 9 laps on fuel. Jack Mitchell and a number of Cup Series drivers took part in the Lights race here yesterday, and we saw Jack Mitchell play a lot of varying strategies. He was really the one that was outside the box in terms of strategy, ran long on a number of those green flag runs, went with a 2-tire stop at one point when we had a caution come out around the midway point. Just kind of, I don't know, building a playbook maybe for today's race here on the Cup side, and started well from the 4th position right now in 3rd. We'll see if he utilizes any of that strategy if we run green here and end up having those pit stops take place? Does he try running long again? Does he go with an undercut strategy? We'll have to wait and see. Top 6 have been able to break away from 7th place on back. About a good 10 car lengths from Eric Monaco back to Nick Gunther. As Dylan Young continues to show the way, has not been able to open up any kind of a gap back to Caleb Fogler and company. The top 6 are all pretty much nose to tail right now. So if one driver makes a mistake, guarantee you the others behind are going to be ready to pounce. Dylan Young was also a driver that took part in yesterday's Light Series race, brought it home in the 11th position. Some other drivers to keep an eye on that took part in that Lights race yesterday that are racing here today in the Cup race would include Anthony McCrory, Daniel Voiles, Autumn Brooks, and Kyle Langland, obviously, as they run full-time in that series. I thought there was another driver that ran yesterday as well that's in the field here today, and I guess not. I thought there was one other, but oh no, there was Reggie Fogelman. Ran the All-Star car for Trackhouse Racing yesterday. Finished well in that car as well, finished in the top 5. As here's the battle for the lead. Caleb Fogler will get to the left of Dylan Young heading into turn 5. Going to try and stay alongside him here into turn 6, but then they head into a right-hander here for 7, and Fogler tucks back in line. But first challenge that Dylan Young had there for the top position, Fogler tried his luck down that heavy braking zone into the Moraine sweep, just could not complete the pass, and now he'll try to set Dylan Young up once again. And they kind of stacked up a little bit there with that side-by-side. That has allowed Nick Gunther to start closing back up here, and he's bringing Fogelman, Bishop, Alexander Rowe along with him. That last time by, Nick Gunther ran the fastest lap of the race so far at a 2:10.835. Talked about the fact only one driver has won at this racetrack previously in the Cup Series, that being Cody Lamas. Cody started 12th, currently running in 12th behind Anthony McCrory. We have well documented the struggles Cody Lamas has had this season. 37th in the point standings. This could be a racetrack that he could find a little silver lining in what's been the gray cloud of Season 8. At least finish out the season with at least one checkered flag in preparation for Season 9. Fogler continuing to try and make the move here on Dylan Young, that time down the front straightaway to turn 1. Connor Breton now going to look to the inside through the right-hand turn 3 on Jack Mitchell. Not able to complete that pass. We've been focused up here at the front. Let's drop to the back and see about some of the drivers that did not do all that well yesterday in pole day qualifying, and if they've been able to make any forward progress. Eric Sadler started 41st, and he's still back here in the 40th position. Is there damage on that car? It's almost like there might have been a stack up at some point in the early stages of this race, and he might have. It's hard to tell. It looks like that hood maybe pushed up a little bit there. Summer Henson started from the 37th spot and currently is 38th. Matt Haas started 35th, and that's where he currently is scored. Nathan Orman just ahead of him started 33rd, and he's in 34th. Destin Bolin started 29th, and he has slipped back to 33rd position. And just a couple cars ahead of him is Ryan Brommer, who started 31st and currently runs in same position. Brommer came into this race the points leader. Destin Bolin was 6th. Eric Sadler was 8th. Matt Haas 9th. Henson 12th. Ormond 14th. Those are the drivers right now outside of the top 30 in the current running order. As James Qualls, little loose there, going through Canada Corner, opens up the door for Cole Deaver to try and pick up a spot. Benjamin Snyder right there as well. Little contact maybe right there between those two as they'll head through the final corner. More contact as Snyder's going to muscle his way by Qualls. So Qualls crossed the line last time in 27th. Looks like he'll drop back to at least 28th, maybe 29th as got his tires into the grass. Oh, trouble! Dylan Poteet just blew up crossing the start-finish line. And that's just passing pit road. I don't think that car is going to make it all the way back around. That will probably bring out a yellow. Or will it? There's no oncoming cars right now, and he's slow. He may actually get it back teleported to pit road without us needing a yellow flag. Yeah, there you see he's on pit road. Pace car's lights are still out, so tough break there for Dylan Poteet. Is that like the third engine failure that Poteet has had in the last, I don't know, the last 6-7 races? He was one of the drivers that had an engine failure back at Kentucky when a number of drivers had mechanical problems, and I feel like there was another race between then and now that he had an engine failure. I don't know what is going on as far as the mechanics for that 31 team, but it has not been good. And Dylan Poteet is more than likely going to be out of this race after they figure out the diagnosis of what went wrong on that machine, and he will more than likely be finishing this race in dead last. Poteet crossed the line last time by in 37th. I believe that was around where he was running pretty much here from the start of this race. Let's see, where did he qualify? 40th. A tough break for one Dylan. Another Dylan currently continuing to show the way in that Iron Gwazi Dark Horse Mustang. Dylan Young has seen all of his teammates go to victory lane at some portion of the season. Destin Bolin with 4 victories, Eric Sadler with the victory back at North Wilkesboro, and RJ Bishop with the win at Iowa. So Dylan Young is the last Young Motorsports driver to go to victory lane to complete the sweep. As Caleb Fogler continues to put pressure on him, he has numerous times in turn 5, turn 1, set up for Canada Corner. He showed the nose. He's just not been able to get the run he wants, which says to me that Caleb Fogler might have a faster raced car than Dylan Young. He just doesn't have the track position advantage that Dylan Young has. He's being forced to try something different in some of these passing zones and just not being able to get the power down to stay alongside. But we are nearing that window for these drivers in terms of the pit window. And that says to me that some drivers could try to utilize the undercut here and see if they can leapfrog 1 or 2 drivers that are ahead of them. I'm looking right now at Dylan Young's lap times, and that last time by he ran a second slower than his fastest lap. So does that mean there is a second to be gained on the undercut? Potentially. We don't know for certain that these drivers are going to have to make, it looks like, at least 3 trips to pit road, because the median number of laps you can make it on a tank of fuel is about 8 laps. We'd seen a couple of drivers yesterday in the Light Series race extend it to 9. So technically, with how the math works, you could run 2 stints of 8 laps and try and extend one of the stints to 9 laps, and you'd be able to make it to the checkered flag. We're, of course, able to have those numbers now since, what was it, back at, was it Kentucky? I think it was Kentucky. Either Kentucky or Homestead. we swapped the Cup physics over to CTS, same as the Light Series. So now whenever we have these double headers with the Light Series and the Cup Series, the Light Series gives us a little bit of a general idea of some of the trends to expect the following day on the Cup side. And we will have the Lights and the Cup Series drivers back together again next week at Nashville Superspeedway. For the Lights drivers, it'll be their second race of the first round. For the Cup drivers, it's the first elimination race where we will whittle the original 16 driver field down to 12. And right now, no Cup Series driver has locked their way into the next round of the playoffs since we had a non-playoff driver go to victory lane last week. And right now, Dylan Young, if he's able to go coast-to-coast pole to win here today, that means we would go into next week still with none of our playoff drivers locked into the next round through a victory. I believe Dylan Poteet has returned to the track. No, he still sits on pit road. I was noticing scoring did not show him out of the race yet. A big reason for that potentially could be because he called a tow. In a sense, they're kind of waiting for that tow to complete before they can work on the race car. Remember, he crossed the start-finish line. The car stalled out over in turn 1. And it takes up to speed about 2 minutes and anywhere from 11 to 13 seconds to complete a lap here. A tow actually accounts for the amount of time it would take from the portion of which you called the tow to your pit stall under a pacing speed. And so that is obviously much, much longer of a time, which is why Poteet, I think, is still sitting on pit road at this point. Eventually that tow will conclude. They can diagnose the problem and see if they can get him back out there or if he is indeed going to DNF from this race. But he's already lost 2 laps here under green flag conditions as they've gotten awfully racy for second place. Mitchell tried to make the move on Fogler on the final corner up the hill. Lost some momentum. Breton then showed the nose to try and snipe third. They all get back in line here. Couple of important runs here for Nick Gunther and RJ Bishop. Bishop dropped 6 spots in the standings after last week at Gateway to 15th. He is 9 points below the 12th in the standings cut line. Nick Gunther came into that race 16th and left 16th in points. Of course, one of 2 drivers, Levi McIntyre being the other, that got into the playoffs through points, did not get in through victories, as Gunther is still looking for his first win of the season, as is Levi McIntyre. Gunther coming to this race 12 points below the cut line. Right now, he is the second highest running of the playoff contenders, so this is an important run for him. Reggie Fogelman right now looks like he would be heading into Nashville Superspeedway as the leader of the playoff points. After a great run last week at Gateway, shot him up to second in overall standings, and he was only 5 points behind Brommer coming into this one. Brommer currently still mired back in the mid-pack area. 30th place is where he was scored last time by. And there is RJ Bishop right now holding down the 9th position. Remember, all these drivers are gunning for Summer Henson, who came into this race, the cut line driver, in 12th. And Henson is right now in 38th position. So no doubt that that cut line is going to shift during the course of this race. Coming to lap 8's completion, and Dylan Young has hit pit road. Jack Mitchell, Nick Gunther, Reggie Fogelman, RJ Bishop also coming to pit lane. Going to have some split strategy here as some drivers will elect to pit, some drivers will stay out and try to extend it a 9th lap, including Caleb Fogler. Fogler will get the lap-led bonus point there as well. He's going to stay out along with Connor Breeden, Jesse Turner, last week's winner Eric Monaco, Anthony McCrory. It looks like the highest playoff contender that is going to roll the dice on this strategy is going to be Michael Norman, who will now cycle to 6th place. Michael coming into this one 4th in points. jumped 7 spots in the standings after last week at Gateway. 10 points out of the points lead. More importantly, 20 points above that 12th in the standings cut line. And remember, Michael Norman, his victory this season was Watkins Glen, a road course. So keep an eye on this 22 car here as this race progresses. Carson Gum, another playoff driver that went with this run-long strategy, now cycles up to 7th place, just ahead of Matt McIntyre. Carson coming to this one 3rd in points, 8 points out of the points lead, and 22 points above the 12th in the standings cut line. Looking for his 4th win on the season, trying to break the tie between himself and Matt Haas, who currently have 3 apiece, and trying to tie Destin Bolin for most wins on the season. Bolin standing alone at 4. It's like Charles Sanford, Kyle Matthews, a couple of S3 Motorsports Chevrolets also stayed out, along with Benjamin Snyder, Matt Haas, and Joshua Osborne. There was your battle off pit road. Dylan Young getting out ahead of Jack Mitchell, but now the question is, Caleb Fogler, does he come to pit road this time, and where does he cycle around to? Looks like he's coming in, as is Breeden, as is Turner, as is Monaco. Is anybody going to try and extend it a 10th lap here? I would doubt it. I think 9 laps is about the furthest you could go. Yeah, everybody who stayed out the extra lap is coming in. So these drivers here, they can now split the final 16 laps in half. They can go 8 and 8. These drivers here, they're going to have to at least have one stint of 9 laps, as they only went 8 laps here on this first run. And these pit stops should spread the field out a little bit more. As we'll stay on Dylan Young and see if he's going to cycle back to the front, or if Caleb Fogler is going to be able to get off pit road soon enough. Oh, wow, look how close this is. Dylan Young's going to swing around the outside of Fogler. Mitchell looks to do the same. So Mitchell will actually cycle to 2nd. Fogler will lose a spot on this pit stop cycle, drifting back to 3rd. But again, remember, there is a difference in how long Fogler can run here on this upcoming stint as opposed to the others. Now, this does not mean that Dylan Young, Jack Mitchell, Connor Breeden, those that pit back at the conclusion of lap 8, that they absolutely have to stretch it to lap 17 now. They could go to lap 16, run another 8-lap stint, but then, at that point in time, they would actually have to run 9 laps to the finish. So they don't have to go 9 laps here on this run, but they would absolutely have to do it on the 3rd and final run if indeed they decide to go 8, 8, 9 for the fuel strategy. For Jack Mitchell, for Caleb Fogler, now he and all those others that went 9 laps on this first run, they can go 8 and 8. And who knows? They may end up deciding to go long again here, maybe go for another 9-lap stint and then just run 7 laps to the finish. That is a possibility as well. So Dylan Young cycles back to the front. Jack Mitchell now moves up a spot to 2nd. Caleb Fogler slips a spot to 3rd. Connor Breeden in 4th. Nick Gunther gained some track position there as he'll now cycle up to 5th. Jesse Turner in 6th. 7th is going to be Eric Monaco. 8th place Reggie Fogelman. 9th Alexander Rowe, and Cody Lamas now will break into the top 10. 11th place will be Anthony McCrory. RJ Bishop in 12th. 13th Carson Gum. 14th Daniel Voiles. 15th is going to be Benjamin Miles. 16th Michael Norman. 17th Matt McIntyre. 18th Daniel Bouchard. 19th place will be Charles Sanford. It looks like Autumn Brooks is going to complete the top 20. We'll wait for them to cross the start-finish line to make sure that I haven't gone out of order here, and then we'll take you back through the rest of the running order, as Brooks is indeed in 20th place, so I did pretty well there. 21st is going to be Cole Deaver. 22nd, Kyler Sustre. 23rd place is under contest as Kyle Matthews will hold off Levi McIntyre, moving McIntyre back to 24th. 25th, Keith Batson. 26th position will be Matt Haas. 27th, Austin LaPlante. 28th, Benjamin Snyder. Ryan Brommer back in 29th. The hood has been removed on Zachary Fitzwater's Jimmy John's Ford as he is still in 30th place. 31st will be Kyle Langland. 32nd, Casey Hoyt. 33rd, Nathan Orman. 34th, Quentin Moore. Joshua Osborne is in 35th. Jessica Schulten drops back to 36th. Destin Bolin is 37th. 38th, James Qualls. 39th is Summer Henson. So Summer is in major danger of dropping below the cut line now after coming to this race 12th in points. And you can see Shelton no hood, Summer Henson no back bumper. 40th is Eric Sadler, so that's another driver that's in danger of being below the cut line heading into next week. Laura Chung sits on pit road and is currently scored 2 laps down right now. And Dylan Poteet is the only driver currently out of the race as they diagnosed an engine camshaft issue as we saw that car blowing up on the front straightaway. He is going to get credited for 42nd place. So right now, playoff drivers that are looking really good. Oh, hold the phone! Caution has waved! And what an interesting time for it to come out, just nearing the halfway point. We saw a caution shake things up yesterday in the Light Series race. And today on the Cup side, coming to the completion of lap 11, yellow flag is out. Looks like maybe the 48 of Austin LaPlante may have had a mechanical failure. We saw this happen yesterday when a driver came to a stop on the racetrack and officials had to throw the caution. Might be deja vu here on the Cup side. Looks like Laura Chung actually just got off of pit road before the leaders came around to put her a third lap down. But now what do you do? I mean, this caution coming out, 14 laps from the finish. Everyone should be able to make it the rest of the way now on one more pit stop, but we're going to go back. We're going to look at what happened to LaPlante, but then we got to come back because we saw drivers go with 2 tire strategies in the lights race yesterday to gain track position, since most of these drivers had been to pit road 4 or 5 laps ago. Oh, there may have been a couple of drivers that had some issues here that brought this yellow flag out. I saw James Qualls is on pit lane, though I'm not certain he's the reason for the caution. I believe it was Austin LaPlante. Oh, whoa. This was, I think, heading over towards turn 7. Oh, yeah, something happened there with the 48 car, and then they're stacked up. Qualls runs into the back of Brommer, Henson to the back of her teammate as well. That's why Qualls had to come to pit road for damage repair, but LaPlante stalls out through the center of 7 and 8. And there you see the pace car coming off pit road along with Laura Chung in the 77. That's the reason for the yellow flag coming out here. There was oncoming traffic as the 48 was spun around in front of them. So if it takes a 4-tire pit stop to put at least 7, 8, 9 laps of fuel in the tank, and we've gone about 4 laps since most of these drivers were on pit road, you could conceivably make a 2-tire pit stop and get the tank topped off. We'll have to see if anybody goes with that strategy or not. And they're just now making their way through the corner that would take them to Kettle Bottoms over to Canada Corner, so it's going to take them a little bit of time to get to pit road entry. Pit road will be open one time only. They'll then get them ready for the restart on the following lap. Dylan Young has led every lap today with the exception of 2. Caleb Fogler has led those other 2 laps. That was during the first cycle of green flag pit stops. If Dylan, actually, correction, Dylan has now led 9 laps of the completed 11. And if Dylan can lead another 3 laps, he will lock up the bonus point for most laps led here this afternoon as well. But this is really reminding me a lot of the lights race here yesterday, where Autumn Brooks was dominating. Then the caution came out. Some drivers went with an alternative strategy. Oh, look at this. Nobody's coming to pit road. This is shocking. I would have thought that drivers would have taken the opportunity, would have leapt at the chance to come to pit road here under caution. But no, everybody is going to stay out. Did anybody towards the back come to pit road? Well, one car's coming in, Ryan Brommer. Now this may be more so out of coming to pit road to repair some damage. Remember, he did get into the back of Austin LaPlante. But this could be a blessing in disguise if you're Ryan Brommer. They're going to go with service as well, because Ryan Brommer now will be able to go a little bit further on fuel than everybody else, which means that he will be, let's see, if he goes even 8 laps here from when we go back green, he will then only have to go 4 laps to the finish. Everybody else here, depending on how much they're saving, they're going to have to go somewhere between 6 to 8 laps when they come to pit road, which says to me, if you're Ryan Brommer, heck, you're going to be at a deficit track position-wise. Come down pit road, do fuel only. Why not? Don't even take tires on your final pit stop. And this is, of course, all speculating that we're not going to see another caution between now and the checkered flag. The one thing about this caution as well is we're going to be getting single file restarts. Being a road course, I do not believe that Laura Chung will be pulling up alongside the leaders here, albeit 2 laps down. Otherwise, that would be quite the moving chicane. And actually, because Laura Chung is a lap down, you see the lights are still on the pace car. So we are going to have a second lap of pacing here. So we'll bring you up to speed on what's going to be taking place next weekend, as it's going to be another doubleheader with the Duracell Ultralight Series and the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers from the concrete Nashville Super Speedway. It'll be the second playoff race of the season for the Duracell Ultralight Series drivers. It will set the stage for their elimination race the following week at Dover. They'll have pole day qualifying Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and then the race will take place on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the Cup drivers, it's going to be their first elimination race, as we will whittle the original 16-driver playoff field down to 12. They'll have their pole day qualifying at 1 p.m. on Saturday, and then Sunday at 1, Cup Series will go green in what should be an exciting doubleheader from Nashville Super Speedway. We'll then have a doubleheader the following week at Dover. I believe then the Cup drivers are alone at Atlanta, and then another doubleheader at Arizona Speedway the following week. 10 playoff races for the Cup Series drivers, only 7 playoff races for the Lights drivers. 3 rounds of 3 races with 3 elimination races until the finale at Michigan for Cup side. 2 rounds of 3 races with 2 elimination races before the finale at Michigan for the Lights drivers. And we already know that Colin Grace is going to be moving on to the round of 7 on the Light Series side. We've yet to know any driver that is officially moving on to the round of 12 here on the Cup Series side. So far, 1 for 1 in a non-playoff driver going to victory lane, and Dylan Young would love to make it 2 for 2 here this afternoon. Let's bring you up to speed on where all of your playoff contenders are going to be restarting here as we have crossed the halfway threshold. Jack Mitchell is going to start in 2nd, Nick Gunther in 5th, Reggie Fogelman 8th, Alexander Rowe in 9th, RJ Bishop 12th, Carson Gum 13th, Daniel Voiles 14th, Michael Norman in 16th, Levi McIntyre 24th, Matt Haas 26th, Nathan Ormond in 31st, Destin Bolin in 34th, Eric Sadler 36th, Summer Henson 37th, James Qualls 38th, and Ryan Brommer in 39th position. Pace car is going to stay on the racetrack here as we go green. We saw this happen in the lights race here yesterday as well. As problems for Jack Mitchell on the restart. Looks like he is up to speed, but not sure exactly what went wrong with him. I don't know if he spun the tires or what. Everybody split him 3 wide, and he's going to drift back here to the latter portion of the top 10. We're 3 wide still out of turn 2. Now we settle it out, but that was Lamas, Mitchell, and Bishop 3 wide for a good portion of 1 all the way over to 3. Up at the front, Dylan Young has lost the race lead. Connor Breton will go to the point. Caleb Fogler will now slot to 2nd as Young drifts back to 3rd. So a number of drivers having some problems here on the restart. Number of drivers capitalizing, and now Connor Breton is out in front in clean air for the first time this afternoon. Connor Breton, a multi-time winner on the season, but was not in the top 30 in points at the conclusion of Auto Club to count towards a playoff spot. He's looking for a 3-way tie with Carson Gum and Matt Haas with 3 victories here in Season 8. As Young drifts back to 3rd, Mitchell is going to fall all the way back. I believe that is to the, I want to say the 8th or 9th spot. Cody Lamas lost a couple of positions on that restart as well. And Dylan Young, who dominated this race, now finds himself back in P3 and now under fire from the Mazda of Nick Gunther. So now your top 3 all non-playoff drivers with Breton's Chevrolet, Fogler's Ford, and Dylan Young's Mustang. Trying to figure out, with us going back green there at the completion of lap 13, they would have been able to save a bit of fuel there under the pacing laps. So just how far are we looking before these drivers will more than likely have to come to pit road for their final pit stop of the day? If my projections are correct, I'm thinking somewhere around laps 19 to 21. I would say median lap around lap 20. As Nick Gunther going to look to the inside of Dylan Young. Going into 5. Not going to be able to complete the pass. They're stacked up double wide behind them, though, as Jack Mitchell trying to work his way back forward. Restarted 2nd. Scoring had him 10th last time by, and he just picked up 9th place on Anthony McCrory. Quiet day for Alexander Rowe, who came into this one 10th in points. Jack Mitchell 11th in the standings. Both those drivers looking to build a cushion between themselves and that 12th in the standings cut line. A pretty solid day overall for Lake Effect Autosport. All three of their drivers currently running up inside of the top 8, with Jesse Turner holding down 7th. Last week's winner, Eric Monaco, currently in 5th place. It's a good performance out of all 3 of those teammates here this afternoon. Now, one driver I do want to check in on, as you see the pace car there, that is what we saw in the lights race here yesterday as well. Runs the entire lap here before coming to pit road. But something that I do want to check on here towards the back of the pack is the 87 of Ryan Brommer. The reason being, remember, he came to pit road under our caution period, so he could go a little bit further on fuel. The question is he up to speed? And it looks like the answer to that is yes. He's up here in this pack. Whoa! Trouble in front of him! As Austin LaPlante and Quentin Moore get together, we got a couple of drivers coming to pit lane here, and Eric Sadler and Jessica Shelton. I believe we also had the 22 of Michael Norman just hit pit road after we went green. So, alternative strategies going on here. I want to see if that 22, does he have damage? Oh, he's got no hood. So, whatever the pit stop was, I think it might have been unscheduled. We were talking about Michael Norman. Was running well. I'm almost wondering if Fitzwater's back here too. Remember we saw all those drivers having trouble on the restart? I'm wondering if there was a stack up. Because I'm pretty sure Michael Norman was up in the top 15, if not top 20 there, coming to that green flag, and now he is damaged and obviously a long ways back in the field. Scoring last time by had him in the 36th position. Well, look at the gap that Connor Breeden and Caleb Fogler have been able to open up back to 3rd place. I mean, you can't even see 3rd on back in the same camera shot here down Kettle Bottoms headed for Canada Corner. So it might be a mano-a-mano of Connor Breeden and Caleb Fogler here, potentially for the win. That is, again, dependent on if we haven't seen our last caution of the day. If we can go another 2 or 3 laps, fuel window will be open for these drivers to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel, but I don't know if we'll see anybody go with that undercut strategy or not. I believe one driver that did yesterday in the lights race was Colin Grace. And where did Colin finish? In victory lane. Granted, though, the front of the field was a little bit more bunched up than what we're seeing right now with this 2-car breakaway, so if you're Fogler or Breeden, maybe you consider that opportunity. If you're these drivers back here, I think, well, you're probably relying on a caution to get yourself caught back up, more than likely. As last time by, scoring showed Dylan Young and company 7.5 seconds back. And Dylan ran about 3 seconds slower than the top 2 did just there. So definitely not closing up the gap at all either. As Eric Monaco takes a look to the inside of Nick Gunther. This would be for 4th. Monaco coming off that first career victory last week at Gateway. And he will clear for the spot. Up to P4. Looking for back-to-back top 5s. With that victory last week, Eric Monaco now moved to the highest driver in the point standings, not in the playoffs. 17th in overall standings. And of course, as well, we haven't talked much about it here the last couple of weeks, but that battle for the Rookie of the Year continues to be hot and heavy between himself and Summer Henson. Henson and Monaco came into this week tied at 230 points apiece for the rookie points lead. Obviously, with where those two are currently running right now, advantage to the 45, with Monaco running in 4th, Summer Henson mired back in 37th. So, barring any issue here, Eric Monaco more than likely will be going into Nashville Superspeedway as the rookie points leader, as he will pick up another spot on Dylan Young, move him to 3rd. And keep an eye on the lap times here of this 45 car. I know that there's over 7.5 seconds he has to make up on the top two, but I don't know. Does Monaco have the car to be able to get up there? And here you go. Fuel window is open. We're coming to 8 laps to go. And Dylan Young, Nick Gunther, RJ Bishop, Carson Gum, and others, Alexander Rowe, Benjamin Miles, Kyler Sustre, Autumn Brooks, Casey Hoyt back there, all coming to pit road. Final pit stop of the afternoon for these drivers. Playing the undercut strategy. We'll see if it works. Our top two elected to stay out. Breton trying to open up a little bit of a gap between himself and Caleb Fogler here. We'll see if these two come to pit road on the same lap as each other, or do they split the strategy up. Well, there are a number of drivers that came into this race either doing fairly well or finding themselves in a bit of a deficit that are going to dig that hole deeper if things don't change for them in the closing stages of this race. Nathan Ormond, Levi McIntyre, Daniel Voiles, Eric Sadler, Summer Henson, maybe even Ryan Brommer. These drivers are all currently lined up to finish this race outside of not only just the top 20, but the top 30. And a lot of position shakeup with the points being as close as they were after being reformatted at the end of the regular season last week in our opener at Gateway. And I expect to see a lot of positions change at the conclusion of this one as well. Let's see if the 88 dives to pit road this time. If he comes down pit road, does Fogler follow? Breton is coming in. Fogler is coming in as well. What about some of these others back here like Monaco, Turner, and McCrory? Do any of them go the extra lap? Monaco is in. Turner is in. McCrory is going to come in as well. Matt McIntyre, Charles Sanford, Kyle Matthews. Looks like everybody's coming in here. Nobody's going to go that extra lap. Well, one driver is, and this is not a surprise. Ryan Brommer. Remember, we saw him, really the only car that came down pit road under the caution period, so he could go a little bit further on fuel than everybody else. Question is how far. I don't think he can get to the conclusion of this race. I don't think he's got enough fuel for that. I think he would have to pit somewhere around 4 laps to go. But hey, you're picking up track position here. Come down pit road, do fuel only, but just enough to get to the end. This could work out in favor of Ryan Brommer. I don't think this is a race-winning move, but I think that this is a move where he was destined to finish probably somewhere between 30th to 35th. This could somewhere put him maybe in the top 15, top 20, which doesn't sound like much, but when you consider where he could have finished, that's a net gain. And he comes into this race 30 points above the 12th and standings cut line as well. So if he can at least finish this race inside the top 20, I think his cushion will remain going into the elimination race next week at Nashville Superspeedway. Also, let's see, where did Brommer qualify? 31st. Okay, I don't think the 31st pit stall is going to be after the start-finish line. I think it would be before. So I was going to say, if he had qualified further up towards the front in the first half of the field, he could have maybe crossed the start-finish line on pit road, gotten himself a bonus point for a lap led. But I'm not sure if he would be able to get his pit service done beforehand of whoever is the current second place car coming around and crossing the line. Though bear in mind, Ryan Brommer, I think, will actually be able to stay out another lap here, another lap or two. So he should actually get the bonus point for a lap led this time around. Unless he dives to pit road. That's the thing. If he dives to pit road here this lap, then that bonus point is in question. But if he doesn't come to pit road at all, he's definitely going to lead the lap, and he will get that valuable bonus point. Let's see, is he coming to pit road here, or is he staying out? He is going to come to pit road, so we'll have to wait and see if indeed he does get credited for the lap led or not. I'm pretty sure that his pit stall would be before the start-finish line. See that that dark gray patch there is the start-finish line. Actually, no, I think he might actually cross just... Yeah, he just did. His pit stall is just after the start-finish line. So bonus point is going to go to Ryan Brommer. But here is going to be the exchange for the lead. Connor Breton is going to take the spot back. We'll have to see where Brommer cycles out after all this, as that should be his final pit stop of the day. Laura Chung was back on pit road. I also saw Summer Henson on pit lane, so all three of the Auto Junction racing cars were on pit road together. I believe Michael Norman has yet to come to pit road here. Can he make it on fuel? Now, here's the thing. I believe that Michael Norman came to pit road on the lap after we went back green. He is currently in the 3rd position as things currently cycle. If he can make it on fuel, can you imagine a car with no hood finishing on the podium? It's all a matter of when that pit stop took place. I don't know if he can make it or not. I think he would have had to have been on pit road as late as lap 17. And I think he was on pit road somewhere around lap 14, 15. So I don't think the 22 can make it on fuel. But we'll have to wait and find out. Breton's going to cycle back to the lead. Fogler will cycle to 2nd, though you see he has lost ground to Connor Breton. Michael Norman is tentatively in 3rd. Eric Monaco in 4th. Anthony McCrory was able to leapfrog a couple of drivers there on that pit stop. He will now cycle to 5th, with Jesse Turner in 6th. Dylan Young, our pole sitter, in 7th. Carson Gums now up to 8th. And Nick Gunther, Reggie Fogelman are kind of stacked up here behind 9th place, which is Zachary Fitzwater, who I believe is in the same boat as Michael Norman. Came down pit road, unscheduled pit stop to repair damage. I don't believe that 83 can make it on fuel either. As Gunther loses a couple of spots there, Jack Mitchell just got around him, and I believe RJ Bishop's going to try to complete a pass as well. So we'll have to see if the 22 and the 83 can make it on fuel. Laura Chung still on pit road. There's the 22 on pit road. So yeah, Michael could not make it. That says to me Fitzwater will not be able to make it, though he's going to stay out at least an extra lap here. I think he's going to have to come to pit road soon. Is the caution out? I just saw, yes, the caution is out. I just saw the race official have the stop and go sign at the exit of pit road. Yellow flag is out for the 2nd time here this afternoon. I did notice that Joshua Osborne just retired out of the race. I gotta wonder if something happened to him to bring this yellow out. And the timing of this yellow as well, I'm not sure if the leaders have already taken the caution or if we are racing back. Looks like we're racing back with the pace car still sitting on pit road. Why is that important? Well, if we had taken the caution, then we would have gotten a restart more than likely with about 2, maybe 3 laps to go. Now running this extra lap here back to the stripe, that's going to eliminate a lap that we would have had to finish this race under green. We're now going to be looking more than likely at a 2-lap shootout, maybe even a 1-lap shootout to finish out this race. But look at how this is now going to bring Monaco, McCrory, Turner, Young, Gum all back up here to these top 2. It was looking like, as Fogler has been able to close up the gap, it was looking like it was going to be Connor Breton versus Caleb Fogler for this victory here at Road America. But the caution now opens up the door for everybody inside of the top 5, maybe top 10 to have a shot at this thing. As Fogler with a nice run there out of the final turn. Looked like he might have been thinking about trying to snipe the race lead coming here to the yellow. He'll step out of line up the hill. Going to be a drag race back to the stripe, but I think it's going to be Breton barely hanging on to it over Fogler as they will now receive the caution. mentioned Joshua Osborne listed out of the race. It looks like potentially Kyle Matthews, who was in line for a good run here today as well, might have also been in the vicinity of what brought this yellow flag out. I don't think you're going to see anybody coming to pit road here. Everybody should be able to make it on fuel. They all made their final pit stop not too long ago. Let's try and figure out what brought the yellow out. Let's first jump to the 27 of Joshua Osborne. See if we can diagnose what took him out of this race. Looks like it was on the lap after he had made his pit stop. Oh, actually, it looks like he had a moment down into turn 5. They all just stacked up. He runs clear into the back of Daniel Bouchard. That may have pushed in the radiator. You see a lot of front end damage on that machine. That is what looks like may have taken him out of this race. Only a couple cars ahead of him was Kyle Matthews in the 09. It was a couple laps later that Kyle has his issue. And, oh, wow. So I think the issue happens further up with somebody else, but we're going to focus on the 09 just to see what exactly he enters into. Watch up ahead. Oh, yeah, Kyler Sustre gets sent off the track, comes back out in front of Kyle Matthews, Matt Haas, Austin LaPlante, and others. Massive wreck. That's a concrete wall there at about a 45-degree angle. Let's go back up to the 4 car now, since we know that's where the incident started. Looks like he gets muscled off the track. Is that by Charles Sanford here? And then, bam! Right into the wall, straight back out in front of Matthews. Nowhere for Matt Haas to go. Austin LaPlante. I believe Benjamin Miles may have gotten a piece along with Kyle Langland. Let's get another look at it here, as this involves one of our playoff contenders, the 8 of Matt Haas, 3-time winner on the season. There's just nowhere to go as... oh, gosh. Levi McIntyre, Eric Sadler just barely able to slip on through. There's Destin Bolin as well. That's a treacherous portion of the racetrack there with the angle of those walls, as you clearly could see. No reaction time for any of those drivers when Sustre came back across the racing surface. And I mentioned that took Kyle Matthews out of this race. You can also add Austin LaPlante and Matt Haas into that category. So Matt Haas is going to be the furthest finishing of our playoff contenders. He'll get credited for 38th here today. Remember, Matt came into this race 9th in points. He was 7 points ahead of the 12th in the standings cut line. And he will more than likely be below the cut line heading into next week, down in one of those 4 elimination spots. Lights are still on the pace cars, which means that they will probably go out on this upcoming lap, as I believe the 83 of Zachary Fitzwater is coming down pit road this time. He couldn't make it on fuel. And we will be setting up for a 2-lap shootout here at Road America, if indeed those pace car lights do go out this time by. Connor Breton looking for his 3rd win on the season. Former winner at Darlington Raceway and Hillside, looking for his first road course win on the season, which would tie him with 3 wins apiece with Matt Haas and Carson Gum, 1 shy of Destin Boland's 4 victories. Second place is going to be Caleb Fogler, looking for his first trip to victory lane this season. Been a long winless streak for the Season 5 champ. Eric Monaco, he's looking for back-to-back victories here after his first career win last week at Gateway. And speaking of looking for first career win, Anthony McCurry lines up in 4th. Anthony still has yet to score a checkered flag in Cup Series competition. Jesse Turner looking for his first win on the season as well. Jesse going to restart in 5th place. Your top 5, all non-playoff drivers. So the odds right now in favor of us starting out the first 2 races of the playoffs with a non-playoff driver going to victory lane, which means it's putting more pressure on the playoff contenders to find consistency and point their way into the round of 12. Carson Gum will be the highest restarter of the playoff drivers in 6th. Reggie Fogelman will be 8th. Jack Mitchell in 9th. RJ Bishop 10th. Nick Gunther 11th. Alexander Rowe in 12th. 14th is going to be Daniel Voiles. Ryan Brommer. That strategy coming down pit road, fuel only after he pit under the previous yellow. He's 15th now. That caution saved him. Make that 17th is now going to be Nathan Ormond. Levi McIntyre has been quiet all day. He's back in 24th. Eric Sadler is 25th. Michael Norman, as we saw, had no front end. He's back 29th. Destin Boland, 32nd. Summer Henson, 33rd. James Qualls in 35th. And he is the last driver running of the playoff contenders. We already documented Matt Haas is out of the race. We'll get credit for 38th. We have 37 drivers running, 36 of them on the lead lap. Laura Chung is 4 laps down. 5 drivers will not reach the conclusion of this one at this point in time. Austin LaPlante, Matt Haas, Kyle Matthews, Joshua Osborne, and Dylan Poteet. Well, Dylan Young has officially locked up the bonus point for most laps led. Even if Connor Breton leads these final 2 laps, he will lead 10 laps. Dylan Young has led 11. So Dylan Young with a valuable bonus point there. As obviously not battling in the playoffs, but I guarantee you drivers that do not make the postseason, their goal, finish 17th in points. Make a statement for next season. All right, lights, come on. Turn off this time. There they go. So a 2-lap shootout to determine the winner of playoff race number 2. Here, our final road course stop of the season at Road America. Gearing us up for next week, our first elimination race at Nashville Superspeedway. For Breton, he's looking for his 3rd win on the season. For Eric Monaco, looking for his 2nd. Fogler, McCurry, and Turner all looking for their 1st. We saw a lot of stacking up there on the restart after the first caution flew. Breton was able to take advantage to get the lead away from then leader Dylan Young. Will he be as strong here on this upcoming restart, or will somebody else be able to get a good jump and be able to snipe this victory away from the Vitamin Water Chevrolet Camaro? Next flag will end the race. If caution comes out before the white flag, race will end under yellow. If we get to the white flag, we race back to the checkers. Pace car will do its normal pace car thing, staying on the racetrack here for at least 1 lap. But Connor Breton going to be the control car here as the flagman has the green flag in hand. Green, white, checkered to finish out this afternoon's race here from Road America. Green flag in the air. Everyone fanning out. Breton did not get a good jump. May have spun the tires. Here's Monaco looking low for the top position. Going to be side by side into turn 1. Monaco on the inside. Breton on the outside. Almost 3 wide further back in the field as Breton, I believe, is going to keep the top spot. Monaco trying to move to 2nd. Will do so. He'll get by Fogler. Fogler now under fire from Anthony McCurry for 3rd. Connor Breton clear for the lead. Eric Monaco, we saw him pick up a couple of spots prior to that caution flying. Worked his way from 5th up to 3rd. He's got a fast race car and he's trying to hunt down Breton. Vogler will net third place. McCrory slots to fourth. Looks like pole sitter Dylan Young looking on. They're actually now dropped McCrory back to fifth. Jesse Turner just completed the pass. Dylan Young back in sixth place. Breton looks back to Monaco, about another car length back to Vogler, 2 car lengths back to Jesse Turner. It's all about hitting your marks at this point in time if you're Connor Breton. But Monaco starts to close the gap up just by increments here heading into Kettle Bottoms. I'll tell you right now what Connor Breton wouldn't mind seeing, and that's the caution flying, because that would mean it'd be 1 lap less that Monaco would have to try and wrestle this lead, wrestle this checkered flag away. A couple of former winners on the season duking it out here for the checkered flag at Road America. Breton with about a car length and a half back to Eric Monaco. Through the final corner, they'll climb the hill. Flagman has the white flag in hand. Can Breton hold off Monaco for one more time? Monaco gonna show the nose. Trying to outbrake Breton into turn 1. Breton will slam the door. Monaco runs a little wide up onto the rumble strips there on the exit of the corner. He'll have a couple more opportunities, will Monaco, specifically down here into the heavy left-hand braking zone of turn 5, if he can get a run. Monaco cannot make a mistake, though, because Vogler is right there to capitalize. So too is Jesse Turner further back. 6th place under contest. Fogelman looking to driver's left on Anthony McCrory. Still side by side as they make their way up the hill to turn 6. Fogelman trying to swing around the outside here to pick up that spot on the 61. Looks like he's going to do so. So move him to P6. Highest running of the playoff contenders now. As Breton had a nice couple of corners there, opened up the gap back to Eric Monaco through the carousel. One last passing opportunity coming up here if you're Eric Monaco into Canada corner, but I don't think he's close enough here to be able to make that move. Gonna drive it in deep. Breton with a slightly better exit. Just a couple more corners here for Connor Breton. Last year, Connor Breton was a multi-time winner. This season, 2 trips to victory lane, but as we documented, out of the top 30 in points, so he wasn't able to qualify for a playoff spot. As we got contact here out of the final corner between Dylan Young and Jesse Turner. As up the hill, Monaco tries to go to the left or to the right, but it's going to be too late. Connor Breton is a 3-time winner here in Season 8. Imagine if he had made the playoffs, we would be saying right now Connor Breton has locked himself into the round of 12, but because he wasn't in the top 30 at the conclusion of the regular season, his 2 wins did not count towards a high-seeded wildcard spot. Nonetheless, though, Breton now is tied for 2nd this season with most wins. 3 wins apiece for himself, Carson Gum, and Matt Haas. Connor Breton, the only driver so far this season that's been able to find victory lane for Northeast Motorsports. Eric Monaco pulling up alongside of him, congratulating him. Breton denying Eric Monaco back-to-back victories here to kick off the playoffs. And we're just waiting now on the word that all drivers have crossed the start-finish line to make the finishing results official. Believe they are. Yes, they are indeed. Connor Breton able to hold off Eric Monaco. Caleb Fogler ran up front all day long after starting the outside of the front row. Jesse Turner will finish in 4th. And Reggie Fogelman will be the highest finishing of your playoff drivers. He will undoubtedly be your points leader going into next week as well, as he came into this race 2nd in the standings. Anthony McCrory with a great run. He lost a few spots there on the final couple of laps, drifting back to 6th. Dylan Young, the pole sitter, is going to finish in 7th. RJ Bishop, his teammate, will finish in 8th. RJ going to be the 2nd highest finishing of the playoff drivers, with Jack Mitchell, Daniel Voiles, Nick Gunther, Alexander Rowe, Carson Gum throw a blanket over some playoff drivers from 8th to 13th. Matt McIntyre will finish in 14th. Cody Lamas, who was the only former winner at this venue coming into this week, finishes 15th. Charles Sanford 16th. Ryan Brommer 17th. May not seem like much, but that was a driver that was looking like he was going to finish out of the top 30, and he's going to finish in the top 20, just ahead of Levi McIntyre, who's going to get 18th. Autumn Brooks and Keith Batson going to be your top 20. These drivers, though, they are going to not look like what it looks like as far as their positioning in the point standings going into our elimination race next week, as Nathan Ormond finishes 21st, Destin Boland 23rd, Summer Henson 25th, Michael Norman in 26th, Eric Sadler was 32nd, James Qualls 34th. Looking like amongst those drivers, at least Sadler, Henson, Ormond, potentially Qualls or Boland, I think would be the 4 drivers that will be below the cut line going into next week. But again, the points were really close still coming into this race. There were only 42 points separating all 16 drivers, which in a sense that is an entire race points. So very easily could see some drivers that I wouldn't even have expected below the cut line going into our elimination race next week at Nashville Super Speedway. We worked 2 cautions that saw a number of drivers finish this race behind the wall, most notably Matt Haas. 3-time winner, came into this race 9th in the standings. You got to think he's going to be a driver below the cut line going into next week, as he finished in the 39th position, was joined by Austin LaPlante, Kyle Matthews, Joshua Osborne, and Dylan Poteet in the garage area. But an incredible weekend here, full of strategy at Road America on both the Lights and the Cup Series side. Connor Breton becomes the 2nd straight non-playoff driver to go to victory lane, so nobody has locked themselves up a spot in the round of 12 as of yet. They will have to rely on points next week when we get to Nashville. Thank you all for tuning into today's race here, though, from Road America. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We've shown you full feature results, and these are the point standings as a result of today's finishing order. Heading into Nashville Super Speedway next week, we've got Lights and Cup Series doubleheader action coming your way next weekend. But until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NCRA TV. Offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.